Next on our agenda to create our layout is the header div tag right up here. I've created a default uh, banner image for you to insert. You'll go later on, you will make your own and reinsert it back into the design. But for now, we're going to go ahead and insert a generic one for your portfolio. I'm going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver. And we're back in our source code again. You'll notice that, remember where we left off, I just inserted this div ID called wrapper, and I have not created or styled a header div yet, or a header ID yet, so I'm going to switch over and toggle over to our CSS style sheet. So click on the portfolio main CSS up here in the top below our index tab here. Before we go any further, make sure that as you're working, save as you go. Underneath the file, I would recommend hitting Save All. This will save not only your HTML file, the index file, and the source code, but it will also save your CSS style sheet. If you just hit Save and then exit out of Dreamweaver, it may only save one of these files. So it's a good idea that every once in a while, you hit Save All. So that you're making sure you're saving all of your files at once. So the next div tag that we have to style is called the header div. And so I'm going to hit the enter return key a couple times after our wrapper ID up there. And it's the same process. I type in a pound symbol, and then I type in the name of the ID that I want to create, and that is going to be called the header. And I'm going to hit the spacebar here, and then open up a curly brace, and then hit enter return down. I do need to give this a width so that when I insert the banner image will go inside of that nice and easy, and will expand accordingly. So I'm going to type in width and select the width value down there. Make sure you select width and not widows. It's real easy to do. And I'm going to type in 900 pixels, the same width as our wrapper. Next, I need to give it a height. So with the wrapper before, we want it to expand. But with the header, we know the exact dimension of the image that we're going to place in there. So I'm going to type in height. And I'm going to type in 125 pixels. And from there, we're going to do something a little bit different. In the past, what we've done is we've inserted the image as a background image in the header div. But we're going to do this a little bit different this time around, because I want to show you a nice little trick that is a pretty standard feature for most websites. So I'm going to hit the enter return key and then close that out with a curly brace. So we have our header div, width and height, and that's the only thing that we're going to need to do with this particular div tag. I'm going to come up here to my source code, switch over to the HTML, and now I need to insert that div just like I did with the wrapper. So what I'm going to do this time, however, is I'm going to tab inside. Notice that I left myself a space before. I have mine's on line 12 of the code. Yours may or may not be there. It's not really important if it is. What is important is that you want to make sure that you have a space. You're going to insert this header inside of the wrapper. Remember, the wrapper contains all of our stuff that's going into our web layout. So the header is just the first one, and the header comes first, obviously, because it's the first one inside of our wrapper. So I'm going to tab in, and the reason why I'm going to tab in is so it's easier to read in the code that shows that this is a nested div tag. You can absolutely nest as many divs and elements as you'd like. It kind of gets a little crazy and confusing sometimes. So what helps is using the tab, and so to help you see that div tag is nested within another tag. So I'm going to open that up with a left caret, and type in div, and let that complete again by hitting the enter key, the space bar again, and I'm going to type in ID. So again, same process as I did before. And I'm going to select ID, and then look, there's our header already laid out for us, waiting for us. I'm going to hit return, okay, and then I'm going to end that with a right caret, and then I'm going to hit the return key a couple of times, and then I'm going to left caret / is going to close that div tag out. So you see how that works? I've got my wrapper div here. That is my whole container. Everything is going to go inside of that. So then there's my first div tag to start me off. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and insert that image into the header. And so I left myself an extra space there. On mine it's line 13 in the code. So I'm going to tab on the inside, and I'm going to insert an image. And to insert an image, I'm going to type in a left caret. You're going to get used to typing in carets for sure, because you're going to use them quite a bit. So I'm going to type in the left caret, and to do an image it is IMG. So see that abbreviation. I'm just going to hit return and then hit the space bar, and I'm going to type in RSRSC. So when you need to insert an image, the tag is image, but then to say, hey, I want to insert this image from this file, I have to first say that it's from this source. So it's image source, SRC. So I'm going to hit the enter key with the SRC selected, and it's going to give me a browse option in my code hinting. So I just hit the enter return key one more time, and it's going to bring up my search or browse for file menu. I need to go to my images folder in my portfolio, so I'm going to navigate to my images folder, and you're going to select bannerbg.jpg. Okay, so just select that guy, and then hit the space bar, and we're going to put in what's called an alt tag, and to go with our image. And an alt tag, and you can just select it right there on the top. An alt tag simply gives internet readers, for people who are blind, they have these things called basically like a web reader, a screen reader, and when it scrolls through a website, instead of, they won't be able to see the picture, so instead it reads what the title that you give the image for. So this is our portfolio banner, and we can have spaces and all that kind of stuff in there. It'll just read that way. And next we need to cap this image off. So image tags are actually self-closing tags. So whereas before with our div tags we have to put in a closing div tag after it. When we type in a right caret, it'll automatically close for us. So see that end slash down there at the end, and that's because they're a self-contained tag. They're a self-closing tag. Okay. So now if we want to check this out to see how this is going for us, click over to Design View, and boom, there's our header right there. And like I said, it's just a generic header. You'll go back and change it later. Now the reason why we're doing it this way is so that we can actually make this header, this banner image, a link. And we're going to make that a link to basically our home page. And to make it easy on us, we're actually going to stay in Design View. So if you're in Code View right now, make sure you switch over to Design View. And all we need to do is click on this image right here. And down in our Properties Inspector, if you don't have Properties Inspector open, go up to Window and then select Properties. So click on the image. And what you're going to notice here down in the Properties Inspector is there are some options, and one of those options is a link. So to make it easy, we're going to do a fun way of linking pages and things in Dreamweaver. So right here next to that link box, there's this little button that looks like a target, and it's called the Point to File. So I'm going to click on this and drag. So you have to click and drag, and I'm just going to click and drag this all the way to our index file. So see, when I release that, that'll make that image a link. And what you're going to notice is down in the link box, it'll say index.html. Okay, so now that when I preview this in a browser, this will take, if I click on the banner, it's going to take me back to the home page. That's going to be it for now on the header div. We're done with the styling, and the next section we're going to do is we're going to insert the nav bar, the content area, and then the footer.